Hello friends out there in YouTube land, I'm Robert Hamm and I welcome you to my channel. Today I'm going to introduce you to Instax, but this will be an introduction from a photographer. And this is very important because there's a lot of things that as a photographer I was very curious about when I decided I wanted to shoot Instax. Originally, I thought that Instax may just be something that was fun for point and shoot. However, I quickly came to realize that Instax is a medium that does have some professional applications. Although it will never replace my primary cameras, adding an Instax photo booth or adding an Instax wedding album is something that I can do to my business that will help improve it. And Instax makes that possible. So, if you're ready, let's get started. Hello friends, once again, I need your help. If you find this video helpful, or any of my videos, please like and subscribe. It helps me build the channel and continue to bring you great content. Fuji doesn't produce information on the exact exposure range of Instax 800 speed film. However, we do have some hard-known facts that can help us get a good idea of what exposure range this is. When we want that information, we turn to the Fuji Instax Mini 90. The Mini 90 has a very interesting section where it talks about the light metering capability of the camera. Specifically that the Mini 90 makes aperture and shutter speed selections based on light values of 5 to 15.5. Now light values are not exposure values. They are light values such as incident light or light that's coming back to us from a particular subject. And that's important to know. So let's look at what a light value of 15 is. Light value of 15 would be outdoors on a bright sunny day wherein you have hard shadows. And this is also when you would use something like the sunny 16 rule, when you would think of your reciprocal film speed to your shutter speed at an aperture of f16. So then what is the lowest range? What is a light value of 5? A light value of 5 is something like indoors at nighttime with the lights on. And color temperature matters here, so it's more like halogen lamps or fluorescent lamps rather than incandescent lamps. Remember, a 100-speed Fuji Instax is a daylight balanced film. You're going to get a little bit better color under halogen or fluorescent lamps than you would under incandescent lamps. Well, that being the case, now we've got some information to apply directly to the Mini 90. Specifically, we know its apertures. We know it's 12.7 to 22. From now on, I'll just say 11 to 22. 12.7 is basically 1/3 of a stop darker than f11. So 1/3 of a stop's not going to kill us. And the actual shutter speed range is from 1.8 seconds, I'll just say 2, all the way up to 1/400th of a second. So knowing now that we've got a range for the Mini 90 of basically f11 to f22 and a shutter speed range for its regular range of basically 2 seconds to all the way up to 1/400th of a second, let's look at the light value of 15. Let's look at what that would be as far as an actual exposure on the sunny 16 rule. Well, the sunny 16 rule would say outdoors during a perfect day with ISO 800 speed film, we'd have 1/800th of a shutter speed and an f16, an aperture of 16. But the Fuji Mini 90 does not possess that. That means that since we have to go from 1/800 and we go down to 1/400th of a second, which lets in more light, we would then move the aperture from f16 one stop up, which would give us less light. Also, it would change the depth of field, but on a print this small, it may not matter so much. So, on a perfect world, we would have an aperture of f22, an ISO of 800, and a shutter speed of 1/400th of a second to provide for a great exposure. The nice part is that within this range, we also have our density controls between lighter, darker, or really light, and we also have flash available to us. Now, this is interesting because on the Mini 90, we have an exposure range for lighter of +1 to 2 or +2 to 3, and then for darken of -1 to 2. And the reason that that's important is because obviously, if we are already at the darkest image that the camera can provide on a bright sunny day, which would be f22 at 1/400th of a second, we can't really make it much darker. We have already reached the limit of the camera's physical ability to make the image darker. So we can make it brighter by 1 to 2, 3, or 4 stops, depending, by pressing on that lighten and darken button. Now, the 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 has to do with what the camera chooses based on your shooting mode. Well, the reason that this is important is because now that we know that we've got the ability to shoot outdoors during the day at what would be our Sunny 16 rule with this camera, we can shoot all the way down to basically 2 seconds exposures on programmed automatic. That means that we can cover any kind of lighting situation that we may come into, up into a dark room and even outdoors at nighttime. This gives us at least 10 exposure values worth of latitude in this film that we can shoot from with this camera. Now, within that, we have to be cognizant of the highlight being blown out or of the actual blacks being so dark that we can't determine any detail. However, what we do remember, and what is very important, is that with film, it's easier to have detail shown up in the highlights than it is in the shadows. So what we want to do is make sure that when we're shooting to properly expose the shadows. That way we can then get the information that we want out of the highlights. Once again, the way I like to do that outdoors is to darken with flash. It seems to work pretty well. Also, for portraits, I like macro mode, where I'm about 2 feet away from the subject. It works very well and fills the frame quite nicely. So there you have it. Lots of great film, lots of exciting stuff that is happening right now in the world of instant photography. But that's not all. Fuji is coming out with a new camera and a new film format, the Fuji SQUARE, the Instax SQUARE. And this is very exciting. This film was designed in order to mimic the idea that we like Instagram square photos. We like that medium format 1:1 ratio where no side is really up or down. So I'm excited to see what new film and new camera system Fuji's coming out within the Instax line. It can add quite a bit of excitement to my photography portfolio, and I look forward to using it. Guys, I'm excited about Fujifilm, I'm excited about instant photography, and I'm excited to be on the cutting edge of this. And you can too. Go check out an instant camera today that uses the Instax. You won't be disappointed. I'm Robert Hamm with RobertHammPhotography.com. You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at RobHammPhoto. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, keep shooting, my friends.